The Cartek Roadsports is a really accessible endurance formula, and it's the first time that the spectators here at the Snetterton 750 Motor Club finale will get a taste of endurance out on this 300 circuit. And as you can see behind me, lining up in the assembly area, it caters for everything from purpose-built saloons to sports cars and a little bit of everything in between. It's a 45-minute race, a compulsory pit stop, but anything else goes. Let's just see what happens with this weather, because I think strategy could play into the game out there as much as what they do on the circuit.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Well, it's Michael Price and Daniel Taylor that make up the front row for this one, ahead of Leon Bidway and Anthony Rogers. Then Robert Davidson and John Lemaster, with Andy Bailey and Bill Forbes on the fourth row. Farrad Darver and Marshall Groves round out the top 10, ahead of Mike Murray and Chris Morton. Liam Crilly, Andy Ebden, Jordan Fox and Josh Johnson come up next. It is a 41-car grid, though, with all sorts of shapes and sizes represented out on the circuit. It's Porsche, from BMW, from Lotus, from Seat, and they're just the top 4 cars on the grid. We've got everything else in between: Vauxhalls, Peugeots, Toyotas, Mazdas, Caterhams, and the rest further back. Even got the Peugeot RCZ out there of Charles Campbell and Graham Leggett. Great variety of car. And the lights go out. We're away and racing for the final time this season in the Cartek Roadsports Series. The massive grid of cars leaps down towards Rich's Corner for the first time, with Michael Price's Porsche heading the way from Leon Bidway in the Lotus in second. Daniel Taylor in the car that he shares with Carl Redshaw is third, whilst Anthony Rogers comes through into fourth position, or stays in fourth position rather, in the Seat as they turn in towards turn 1. There's Sam Smith in the number 31 car, up the inside of the number 91 Honda Civic. Again, going to show the different shapes and sizes of car out there as they pick their way down towards the hairpin. Challenge on for the lead there. Leon Bidway with a wider line through the hairpin. Michael Price gets a bit sideways out of the Wilson hairpin. And so the car that he will hand over later on to Marcus Clusson could be about to lose the lead, though, because Leon Bidway has the grippier line through Palmer's. 57, 58 miles an hour on the apex as he floors the throttle now and comes out the other side as the leader. So it's Bidway that leads the way. It's Price in second, Rogers into third, ahead of Daniel Taylor. And then you've got the Vauxhall Corsa. Look at that, that's the James Birch and Chris Morton car that started down in 12th on the grid. And Chris Morton is pedalling that little Corsa very, very well. The wet always has been a great leveller. There you can see the other Vauxhall on the grid. That's the Vectra VR6 and Marshall Groves just flashing through. You've got the number 10 Seat there, Mike Murray, up the inside of Andrew Winchester. Meanwhile, we're on board now with the Corsa. This is the Birch and Morton car. As I said, Chris Morton starting. James Birch will take over a bit later on. Behind them, though, it's getting very busy as they all scrabble for grip. Liam Crilly there in the red Mazda, diving up the inside, trying to gain some ground under braking. He's going to gain at least one position there as he turns into the corner, and possibly try and gain some more on the extra. I think that was Farrad Darver's BMW that he went up the inside of. In front of him is Josh Johnson in the Golf, the number 21 car. He's just gained a position as well as they turn through the right-hander. That was Robert Davidson, I think, the 33 BMW. Rear-wheel drive Mazda of Liam Crilly there gets a bit of a tail slide coming out of the corner. It's not just the different shapes and sizes out there. There are different drivetrains represented as well, front and rear-wheel drive. And it's a front-wheel drive car that's making all the moves at the moment at the front of the field, or one of the front-wheel drive cars anyway, and that is Anthony Rogers' Seat, which now goes into second ahead of Michael Price's Porsche, and sets off after Liam Crilly. There is an argument to say that in the wet conditions maybe a front-wheel drive car is a bit more stable, but they will heat their front tyres up better too, so the rear-wheel drive cars may be just struggling with a bit of understeer at the moment. Once we get a couple of laps into the race, they'll have those tyres fully up to temperature, and those cars may well come to the front. But that's always been the joy of the Cartek Roadsports Series, is the variety of cars out there and how different cars have different strengths and weaknesses. We're about to see which cars have the best strength in a straight line, because out onto the pit straight we come to complete lap number 1. Leon Bidway leads the way, but here comes Anthony Rogers. Anthony Rogers pulls alongside and simply drives through. That was some awesome horsepower there from the Seat, and it moves through into the lead of the race. So the Seat Leon Super Copa, the kind of car that would have raced in one-make championships both in the UK and across Europe, in fact, through the mid-noughties. And that car moves its way into the lead. We can see the scraps going on further back. The fight for visibility is as fierce as anything else. We get another glimpse of the Andrew Winchester BMW still battling away with Mike Murray. They were side-by-side at the start of lap 1, and they're side-by-side at the start of lap 2 as well. On board with Andy Bailey now in the BMW Golf going down towards the hairpin. That's another one of the Golfs. Andy Bailey, of course, who, like many of these drivers, also races in the Cartek Club Enduro Championship on the 750 Motor Club package, but he's in a slightly different car now. We tend to see him in BMWs. It's a slightly different piece of German machinery that he finds himself in now. All gets sideways though, he's on the grass and it's all gone wrong at Palmer's. The barrier comes up very quickly in these conditions. I think he'll just about keep it out of the wall, but that was just the tiniest of errors there for Andy Bailey, and off onto the grass he went. He'll rejoin, but a long way down the order. Andrew Winchester, though, finally seems to have got up the inside of Mike Murray and gone through, and he also goes up the inside of the number 6 BMW of Bill Forbes, who is clearly struggling for pace at this stage. And Bill Forbes just slipping down the order ever so slightly. And, well, that car very quick in the dry, but in the wet maybe a little bit more power than they'd like in a way, and it's making it very lively indeed through this very technical infield section. Mike Murray now in the front-wheel drive Seat starts to close in, but that certainly is a car that should be leaving the Seat for dead, really. Certainly in the dry, you would expect the very powerful BMW M3 to have the edge, but not necessarily the case in these very, very treacherous conditions. The Rover Tomcat further back there, the orange car of David Roberts coming through, chasing these two down now. And as I said, these cars all running to different classes. It is, a real mix of cars towards the front of the field, really. Predominantly, it's the Class A machines that you see at the front of the field, but that can change in conditions like these, and as the strategy comes into play a bit later on. Around the outside is the number 34 car. That's another one of several Mazda MX-5s out on the circuit in this one. Making a nice move there again, proving you don't need all that much horsepower in these conditions to make your way to the front. Dan Rogers, that was gaining ground. Also gaining ground, look, is the Rover Tomcat, because David Roberts now gets past Mike Murray. The Cupra starts to slip down the order. It's the Super Copa Seat, though, that leads the way. But look at that, a very handsome margin now indeed for Anthony Rogers over Leon Bidway second. Michael Price is still third. As I said, when we get to the pit stops later on, two of those leading three cars will have to go through a driver change, but everybody has to pit at some point during the race, and even if you're going it alone, you have to simulate a driver change. So you have to get out of the car, shut the door, and then get back in. Oh no, there's a spin there, and well, we already said that Bill Forbes was struggling in the conditions. He's really struggling now because he's pointing the wrong way down at the Murray's left-hander at the end of the lap, so the BMW that was already losing ground, having started 8th on the grid, is now going to plummet potentially right to the back of the order. On board here with Andy Bailey as he tries to recover now after his spin, or he's off. He didn't quite spin, but he ran onto the grass at Palmer's. He's driving past some of the lower engine capacity cars further down the order, but the higher up the field he gets, the harder the overtakes will be. Jim Dougal's little Peugeot, one of the cars that he just dived past. The next one in front of him looks to be one of the BMWs, one of the more production-based BMWs, that is, though. And yep, another fairly straightforward move made there on the inside. Bailey starting his march back towards the sharp end. Right, the two Vauxhalls have got themselves together now. So you've got Chris Morton's Corsa with Marshall Grove's Vectra VR6 starting to close in at the head of what is an increasingly large and entertaining group of cars. Got John LeMaster's traditional Lotus liveried Lotus there, the green and with the yellow stripes on John LeMaster's car, the Elise S2. Going to battle against things like VW Golfs and Vauxhall Vectras. Really, there are very few series in the country that give you this sort of variety, and in the wet, as we've said, with it being such a great leveller, the different classes of cars starting to mingle as well. Here are the leading three, and I'd say they're all getting a bit closer together. Leon Bidway seems to be catching the race leader Anthony Rogers on this lap, and he's certainly been caught by Michael Price, who had a slightly tentative start to the race. Remember, he started on pole, led into the first corner, and then didn't really lead much beyond that because this man, Leon Bidway, got through, and then both of them were overtaken in quick succession by Anthony Rogers. The Vauxhall side by side now down towards Brundle and Nelson, and the Vectra goes through on the inside, so Chris Morton losing a place there to Marshall Groves. We're on board with Morton now, and the Vauxhall Vectra VR6, which had its own one-make championship in the UK back in the 90s that used to support the likes of the British Touring Car Championship. Many front-wheel drive touring car stars found their feet in cars like this, but to see the VR6 Vectra still in action here in UK competition in the Cartek Roadsports series, which really does cater for everything, it would seem. Through the right-hander we go at Coram, this never-ending corner, and then you've got to brake hard, but not too hard, not so hard that you lock the rear brakes, because you're turning through the right-hander whilst you're braking, and then trying to flick it back to the left here into Murray's. It's so easy to lose the rear of the car through there. They're all doing a good job to hang on to it for now. There goes the 34 car of Dan Rogers. It's one of the highest qualified Class C cars on the grid for this race. Back across the start-finish line they go. Towards Riches for the third or fourth time now of Aston getting into this race, this 45-minute affair for the Cartek Roadsports series. It's the 5th race from 5 this year. They started the season off at Brands Hatch Indy, where Jamie Sturgis won in a Seat Leon Euro Cup, so it's just basically a newer version of the car that's leading this race now, the Super Cobra car of Anthony Rogers. There is Rogers, Bidgeway getting away from Michael Price now, on board with Bidgeway, who, yeah, not only is getting away from Michael Price, but I would say is catching the race leader here slightly. Runs a bit deep though into Agostini. Goes back to the late Evans, very deep actually there, wasn't he? He gets good speed off the turn. After we went to Brands Hatch, Andy Ebden took a victory in his Caterham 7310R at Croft, but into the gravel, I'm afraid, at Riches is car number 72. It's another one of the MX-5s. It's the Graham McMurtry and Bobby Andrews driven car. Not sure who took the start in that car, but unfortunately it's out of the race, or it's off the track. Whether it's out of the race, we'll wait and see. Hopefully they'll be able to get it going again. Side-by-side battling here, though. John Lemaster has got the 21 machine up the inside of him. That's the VW Golf of Josh Johnson. In fact, going through is Josh Johnson, so Golf overtakes Lotus. Really never can tire of saying things like that, can you? Towards Hoggies they go again. We've seen great variety of cars winning races there. I mentioned that we'd had the Seat and the Caterham that won the first 2 races. Then it was BMW to the fore at Rockingham when Andy Marston and Brett Evans took the victory. And then Vauxhall VX220 of Wayne Rothwell last time out at Cadwell Park. Wayne is not here this weekend, but he's been a front runner on a few occasions this year in the Cartek Roadsports series. So we've had 4 different winners from the first 4 races of the year, and impressively 4 different marks of car that have won the first 4 races. Can we make it 5 from 5 this weekend? Well, at the moment it's looking likely, because we've got Seat from Lotus at the front of the field and Porsche in third. None of those 3 makes have, I beg your pardon, Seat have one, of course, with Jamie Sturgis at the start of the year, but certainly the Lotus and the Porsche second and third respectively could come off 50 different marks to win this year. There's Andrew Winchester in the 87 BMW Compact, which gets all out of shape through the bob hole. He's the next car to arrive on the tail of John Lemaster's Lotus. John, a very experienced Lotus racer, races in Lotus 1 Make Series as well as getting out in races like this. Yellow flags out there though at Coram, and do we have yellow flags at the start-finish line as well? Are we going to see a safety car here? Out of the pit lane has come Stuart Rolfe in his BMW that he shares with Clive Watson. I don't think that was a scheduled stop though, so looks as though the safety car is being thrown there. This presumably will be because of the Graham McMurtry and Bobby Andrews car in the gravel at Riches, and there is confirmation the safety car is out, and so the Seat at the head of the field of Anthony Rogers, any lead that he had built up, and I admit it was a slim lead, but that lead now disappearing completely. On board with Liam Bidgeway in second position. Liam turning his way down towards Palmer's, and Bidgeway, who shares that car with Andy Chapman in the Cartek Club Enduro Championship, has had decent success. That car really is well suited to this circuit, come rain or shine, it would seem. The rest of the field streaming through already. When we're racing for about 10 or 11 minutes or so, the field have pretty much spread themselves out across the entire circuit, such is the speed differential between the very quickest and the slowest cars. Across multiple classes, of course, classes A, B, C and D, and an invitational class as well, which Robert Davidson appears to be heading in his E36 M3 BMW. So at the head of the field, it is Michael Price there, the Class A Porsche that's in third place. It is the Class A Seat that leads as well, of Anthony Rogers and Stephen Cunniff. There is the live snatch vehicle being used to retrieve the number 72 Mazda MX-5 from the gravel trap. He's on board here with Bidgeway, just gets a moment to catch his breath here and take stock of the situation. Try and figure out exactly what needs to be done on this restart. These top 3 cars all seem fairly evenly matched, don't they? It doesn't look as though any one of them has a distinct edge over the competition, which is good for us because we're guaranteed some good racing from them as a result of that. There is the Michael Price car that, as I said, he will hand over to very experienced professional GT racer Marcus Clutton. Marcus, it seems every weekend, is out in a different car in a different championship, often with a different team and driver as well. On board with Andy Bailey, so he's worked his way quite nicely up the order actually after that off that he had a little bit earlier on. He's not quite back to where he started, but he's getting there at least. this, the Chris Morton Vauxhall, the Vauxhall Astra that runs in Class B, so it actually runs in the same class as things like Andy Bailey's VW Golf, but also, perhaps most impressively, John Lemaster's Lotus. So it's all done on power to weight and engine capacity and various calculations that go into it, which means that you can have some interesting stablemates within your class. There's the 4th place BMW, meanwhile, that we haven't seen much of actually. Carl Renshaw and Daniel Taylor's number 40 car, the orange and black BMW, that is 5th in the queue because the back marking Stuart Rolfe and Clive Watson BMW has exited the pit lane just in front of them. They are 4th in the race, having started on the front row. Daniel Taylor it is who's in the car now. 5th, as you can see, is the Vectra of Marshall Groves. 6th for Chris Morton. 7th place is the 21 Golf of Josh Johnson. And then John Lemaster appears to still be behind him, as he is. And then it's Andrew Winchester towards the back end of the top 10. So good variety of car up there at the front, and they're all having their own little battles, but the safety car just putting things on ice slightly now as they retrieve that car. It's a long lap here at Snetterton though, so hopefully should only require this second lap behind the safety car before we get racing again. The field streams their way through at very low speed indeed, it will feel like, but as I said, it's a chance for the drivers to just catch their breath a little bit. It's hard work out there. It's almost harder work in the wet. Even though you're going slower, you're having to fight the car all the time. You're searching for the grip, searching for the fastest way around the circuit, which often is not the traditional racing line. So it's not only physically demanding to race in the wet, but psychologically as well. A couple of cars taking this opportunity to pit. Look, Liam Crilly is in. I'm surprised more cars aren't doing this, if I'm honest, because a pit stop under the safety car will cost you an awful lot less time than a pit stop under green flag will, because of course you pit and then get back out into the circuit and are free to catch up the back of the queue. So you almost get a free pit stop out of it. You don't really lose that much time to the race leaders. You fall to the back of the queue of cars, yes, but in the grand scheme of things, you're only losing about 15 or 20 seconds, whereas if you pit under green flag, you can lose a minute. So it's definitely beneficial, I would have thought, to pit behind the safety car, but some people, for whatever reason, choosing not to, including the leaders. Most of the top 10 staying out. I think Liam Crilly was possibly the highest placed car that I spotted had made its way into the pit stop then, into the pit lane then, sorry. The red Mazda RX-8. And Andy Marston's Mini as well, I think, was in the number 16 car. There you can see it's just leaving now, actually. So out goes Andy Marston. And Liam Crilly follows. So they're going to be the top 2 cars that have so far made a pit stop. Also in is Bill Forbes after his spin earlier on in the BMW. So quite a few drivers are going with this early pit stop, but it gets it out of the way, and it's done during the safety car, so you're not going to lose all that much time. Another car leaving there, that's Matthew Welford's Toyota MR2. Got another MR2 actually chasing it down the pit lane there as well. Several MR2s in this race. The Peugeot RCZ has been in as well. That's the Charles Campbell and Graham Leggett car number 4. Which was, we didn't get a start driver for them, unfortunately, so we don't know who it is that's in the car exactly at this stage, but the car, having now made its driver change, is back out on the circuit and will just get to cruise straight up to the back of the safety car Crocodile. So I'm very surprised that we didn't see more people come in then, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. Looks as though the safety car might be coming in this time though, so I guess what they'll be hoping is that the race gets underway quickly enough that those cars that just pitted don't get to catch up to the back of the queue, but I think they will. It's a long enough lap, but it's a long enough queue of cars that you're probably still going to be able to catch them pretty rapidly. Anyway, let's wait and see. It is going to be Anthony Rogers to take the restart in the stunning Seat Leon Super Copa car. Has had a few modifications made to it since its time as a one-mate racer, I think. I think that rear wing is as standard. It's a very, very quick piece of kit indeed. So too is the little Lotus of Leon Midway, but as we saw earlier on, it's no match for the Seat in a straight line, but it's quite a lot lighter, so through the more technical parts of the circuit it will have an edge. Sometimes though, the heavier the car is, the more stable it can be in the wet, so that may not be playing exactly into Leon's hands. Let's find out though, as the lights are out on the safety car, is into the pit lane. We are away and racing again here at Snetterton. on the full 300 layout for the final round of the Cartek Roadsports Series. And into the pit lane goes Michael Price. So, interesting strategy there. Michael Price choosing to pit immediately after the safety car. Not entirely sure why, but anyway, he's in and we'll hand over to Marcus Clutton, so we take him out of the equation for now. Then this is the fight therefore for third place, and it will be Daniel Taylor that has it, but the Vauxhall Corsa there of Chris Morton tried to get back. In fact, he got up the inside of Marshall Groves, so he's got back ahead of the Vectra now. Marshall Groves, having got past the Corsa earlier on, has now lost out again. Andrew Winchester is in, everyone is in, look, 54 BMW is in, that's Farad Darver. Most of the field, it would seem, apart from the leading 5 or 6, choosing now to pit. In also comes the 61 BMW, which we see running so well in the Cartek Club Enduros. That's Rob Meredith and Brett Evans. It's Brett handing over to Rob Meredith, in fact, now at the pit stop. Number 15 BMW in behind them as well, you see. So pit lane becoming a busy place. The track, if anything, looks fairly calm and quiet, doesn't it, as the leading half a dozen or so cars drop their way down into Agostini. There is Daniel Taylor third then, fourth place now for Chris Morton, fifth is Marshall Groves, and sixth for car number 21, which is the Golf of Josh Johnson, again yet to stop. There is the McKee and Mealand car in, Sam McKee and Adam Mealand. Adam Mealand handing over the number 36 car. Oh, more dicing going on, and another place lost there for Marshall Groves, as up the inside of him goes Josh Johnson into Hamilton. So the Vectra not getting a great restart here. It's lost 2 places since the green flags flew again. And the Golf scything its way through down in towards Williams. Well, we just saw the pit stop there for Sam McKee and Adam Mealand. Let's head down to the pit lane and hear from them.
We've said a lot so far about this 45-minute endurance being a grassroots entry and accessible route into endurance racing. Sam, you've just handed over to Adam. You drove the car here this morning, didn't you?
Sam actually drove it here this morning.
So do you get to drive it back? Is that how it works?
If these are the conditions, I hope not. It's very slippy out there. Very, very slippy. A bit different to how we tested yesterday. First time I've driven it in conditions like this. So, yeah, really I think I should have come in a lap earlier, but Sam's out there now. We should be able to get a few more places. Looking at the way it's turned out, so hopefully we're still in with a bit of a chance or something.
So with anyone watching at home wondering if they'd like to get involved in this, and they're quite interested and intrigued as I am that you drive the car here, how much of that is in the back of your mind when you're out there in these conditions, particularly about having to get the car home afterwards?
It's funny you say that, because today's the first time I've actually had a bit of contact, and it was in the back of my mind, but to be honest, when you're out there you're just focusing on the racing and you're not even thinking about it really.
Call the AA.
Exactly. We've got backup cars, so it's all right, really. Just need to get home at least.
Cheers.
Right, thank you.
Well, there you go then. That really is the spirit, isn't it, of the Cartek Roadsports Series. Many of these cars completely road legal, would you believe? Right then, the battle here amongst the drivers who haven't yet pitted, and Mike Murray is making his comeback into the picture towards the front of the field. Into the pit lane, though, is coming the 33 BMW of Robert Davidson, the driver who had not yet stopped. We heard, though, that Adam Mealand was referencing there that maybe he should have pitted a lap earlier. I do suspect that those that pitted right in the middle of that safety car period are going to be the ones that benefit in the long run. Once these drivers pit, surely the majority of them are going to fall behind the ones who have pitted behind the safety car. But we'll have to wait. This is the joy of a mini enduro such as this. With a mandatory pit stop, the strategy plays out as the race goes on, and you never quite know which strategy is correct. Car pulling off there by the looks of it down at the end of the Bentley Straight, and rejoining is car number 76, Stuart Pywell's BMW, presumably on its way into the pit lane. On board with the Vauxhall Corsa though, Chris Morton, as he's heading in towards Hamilton, and he's got a Volkswagen Golf in front of him. Now, is that Josh Johnson that's gone through, or is that one of the cars maybe that's made its pit stop just now? I think that is Johnson, isn't it? So in which case, Johnson gained another place. He's got past both of the little Vauxhalls now, well, the little Vauxhall and the bigger Vauxhall, I suppose. And he really does seem to have good pace. If anything, he's harassing the BMW now of Daniel Taylor. There is the confirmation that it is Josh Johnson into 4th position now, and chasing down a provisional podium position. But of course, these drivers all yet to pit. With the Corsa of Morton, then it will hand over to James Birch momentarily as he heads down the Bentley Straight. You can see the rain, the water streaking off the windscreen, but the Corsa and the Vectra seem remarkably evenly matched, don't they? The Vectra, maybe with its longer wheelbase, is a bit more stable through the corners, but again, the more lightweight, nimble Corsa actually has the better punch off the turns and slightly better traction, maybe. Then it's John Lemaster who was struggling for traction there as he came out of Nelson's in the Lotus, and Mike Murray's Seat in behind. 10 car running well as the race has gone on. He was slipping backwards earlier on, but Mike is now building up a challenge here, and in fact looks to the inside of John Lemaster there towards Coram. Wasn't quite close enough though. The Corsa of Chris Morton fending off the Vectra behind him of Marshall Groves. As up the road, look at that, the Golf's gone through to Johnson. I just got a glimpse there, had gone past Daniel Taylor, so the Golf is now into 3rd place and is absolutely flying. Into the pit lane though comes Chris Morton, so James Birch is about to have a go behind the wheel of the Vauxhall Corsa. Down into the pit lane they go, and another car following. Is that Murray's Seat maybe? I think it might be. So yes, Mike Murray appears to have disappeared as well, so 2 more cars pitting from inside the top 10 or so. Still waiting though to see where the likes of Liam Crilly is, for example, and Andy Marston's Mini. We saw those 2 pit together behind the safety car. They, I think, are still the top 2 cars that have made their stop, so we're not sure either where the Michael Price car came out of the pits once it was handed over to Marcus Clutton, but Marcus should be one of the fastest drivers out there now in a car that we know is quick because it was on pole position with the time that he set. His lap time, by the way, Marcus Clutton, was some 4 and a bit seconds quicker than anyone else managed in qualifying, so the fact that Michael Price handed the car over in 3rd should mean they're going to be contenders for the rest of the race, even if they've lost a bit of time as a result of the pit strategies. There is the Daniel Taylor BMW, and just in front there was a sideways MR2. To the pit lane though is half a Honda Civic. That's Jordan Fox's number 91 car that's missing its front bumper, and I think they're just checking that the hose there attached to the radiator wasn't too badly damaged. The bonnet's going to go up, so this could be the end of the race potentially for Jordan Fox. It's a shame. Been off somewhere presumably. There goes the James Birch Corsa out right in front of the Mike Murray Seat. Mike not handing over to another driver, he's doing the full 45 minutes on his own, so these 2 came in together, they go out together as well. About the same sort of distance between them, and there, interestingly, is Bill Forbes. Now we know that Bill has made his pit stop, so Bill is going to be right in there, I think, for a top 10 position by that reckoning. Still Jordan Fox is in, they're just checking it. The bumper seems to have come fairly clean off, so it suggests to me it wasn't contact, it was maybe that he ran over the grass and pulled it off. More with Andy Bailey in the Golf now, who I believe has also pitted, having recovered still from that, or still be recovering from that grassy moment he had at Palmer's earlier on. But yes, these cars have all pitted. Look, you've got the 33 of Robert Davidson in there as well. Farrad Darver not far back. Andrew Winchester's handed the blue compact BMW over to Josh Orr, and that is the car that's immediately in front of Andy Bailey in his VW Golf GTI. They're sending Jordan Fox back on his way, so that's good news. As into the pit lane comes, who's this diving in? It's Liam Bidgeway, isn't it? It's Liam Bidgeway in the 84 Lotus coming into the pit lane. So Leon, who was running in 2nd position, remember, behind Anthony Rogers' Seat Leon Supercopa, the 84 Lotus Exige, excuse me, stops in front of his pit box, so he does not actually have to get out of the car, he just sits there, the door is open, they'll have a chat to him, check that everything's okay. Then Josh Johnson's in as well, so Josh also making his way into the pit lane. Now there is Liam Crilly. Liam Crilly, I believe, is the highest placed car who has made his pit stop, and just behind him, look, is Marcus Clutton, the green Porsche, so this could develop into the fight for the race lead. Now these 2 were nowhere near each other on the track before the safety car, but because Crilly pitted a lap earlier and got back out on circuit before the safety car came in, he was able to catch up to the back of the pack and, as I said, essentially get a free pit stop out of it all. So Crilly has found his way into the net lead, essentially. You can see that he's going past the likes of Leon Bidgeway, Josh Johnson and John Lemaster, who also came in that time around, but he's being caught and now overhauled by Marcus Clutton. These 2 are running in different classes. It's no great surprise, therefore, that Marcus Clutton doesn't have too hard a time of it going through, and so Clutton picks his way through. It's not for the race lead yet, but he is now the lead car who has made his pit stop. It's good for the Price Clutton Porsche 997. There is John Lemaster, thumbs up from him as he sits and waits for the time. There's a minimum pit stop time that has to elapse before they can head back out there. That's why they're sat around seemingly doing nothing. They'll check the car over, do the driver change if they need to, but there is a minimum pit stop time. That's just to make sure that the driver changes don't get too energetic. Sometimes when there's no time limit or there's no minimum time for a driver change pit stop, the driver that's getting out of the car gets thrown out and sometimes gets thrown straight into the middle of a live pit lane. So to ensure as much safety as you can ensure in the pit lane, there is a minimum time that must be spent stationary. So that's what the stopwatches are out for, as they just try and make sure that no one goes out there a little bit too soon, because that will give you a pit stop penalty. There's Liam Crilly. Well, of course, he may have just lost the net lead of the race outright, but he's still fairly comfortably leading Class C as far as those that have pitted. So he's not that fussed about what Marcus Clutton gets on up to in his Class A Porsche. His biggest worry is that he wins Class C, and his nearest rivals in Class C are some way back. He was doing well within Class C anyway. He's in the same class, therefore, as the Andrew Winchester and Josh Orr BMW E36 Compact, the blue number 87 car that we saw earlier on. So that car, we'll watch for them trying to come back through after their pit stop. Into the pit lane comes the race leader. So this is for a driver change between Anthony Rogers and Stephen Cunniff. In the meantime, let's head back down to the pits with Paul.
In from the lead. How did that go?
All right, yeah, it's really good, yeah. First time ever to Snet, so, well, I was here about 15 years ago in GTs, but this is my first time here for a long time on this circuit. No testing, so straight in today. Really good.
Did you just use a blanket set up on the car from another circuit or what?
We was leading a minute and a half at Anglesey the other week, so the car's a good car. You know, the guys do a good job. It's up to Steve now, try and get us a trophy.
What do you say as he got in the car? What did you tell him?
Good luck. The ABS has failed, so I lost a lot of my lead on the first couple of laps. The failed ABS, so been good. But no, it should go well now.
Front seat driver change done well. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. I, for one, do not fancy driving a car like that, or any car indeed in these conditions, without ABS. So full credit there to Anthony Rogers. Stephen Cunniff will now have to deal with that as well. Well, there is Liam Crilly working his way through Rich's corner, and Liam continues to battle away with Sam Smith there in the Mazda MX-5. Sam, who races a couple of different Mazda MX-5 Mark 1s actually in different championships. On board now with James Birch in the Vauxhall Corsa. And James, having taken over from Chris Morton, the car, remember, was dicing away with Marshall Groves in the Vauxhall Vectra, but I don't think we've seen Marshall come into the pit lane yet, so we'll wait and see where they come out, whether they come out together again once they've both pitted. The right-hander there at Cora. Oh, Liam Crilly in the background getting all out of shape as he chases down Andy Marston in the Mini. Now that I think is for position actually. Andy Marston in the Class B Mini, I think, has managed to leapfrog ahead of Liam Crilly. They're both pitted at roughly the similar time. I don't think they've pitted on the same lap, so they should be together on track for position, and indeed they aren't that far away from each other, so I think Marston's found a way through fairly recently to get past Liam Crilly. And Liam will now try and fight back if he can. The front-wheel drive Mini Cooper, the rear-wheel drive Mazda RX-8, and there's a car you don't see every day. That's the little Alfa Romeo turning through, the Alfa Spider of Louise West and Nick Anderson. Louise started the car, I believe it's Nick that's now in it. Goes a lap down to the Mini there of number 16, Andy Marston, who started from the back of the grid, didn't get a time in qualifying. I think he did an outlap, and that was it. His official fastest time in qualifying was some 14 minutes nearly, which tells me that he spent most of that lap sat in the pit lane. Right, here's some of the battles going on out on track. John Lemaster and Mike Murray have found themselves back together again. They are now fighting for position. Oh, off, though, has gone Stephen Cunniff. Now, that's the car that was leading the race. They've already lost ground as a result of their slightly late pit stop, but that, I would hazard a guess, had something to do with that lack of ABS that we heard about. So the Seat Leon Super Cobra, unfortunately, off the road there down at Agostini. We didn't see them go off, so I don't know how much time it spent on the grass, scrabbling for grip, trying to get back on the road, but it would appear they've lost several positions. Liam Crilly's pursuit of Andy Marston, sorry, of Brett Evans, no, Andy Marston by the first time. So used to Andy Marston and Brett Evans sharing a car as they do in the Club Enduro. But Brett Evans in this race, but in a different car. It is Andy Marston going it alone in his Mini. He heads down the pit straight once again. Here's this battling going on behind them. Mike Murray there ducks out of line. They're both he and John Lemaster going past one of the silver and pink Mazda MX-5s, put a lap on it, and they're side by side into the corner there at Brundle. There is Stephen Cunniff, and then behind him Bill Forbes, so that is for position. So Cunniff really has found himself a long way down the order. He should still have come out somewhere around, you know, the cars that pitted around the same time as him, the likes of Leon Bidgeway, for example. Although Leon Bidgeway, I'm not quite sure where Leon's got to, actually. Back on board with Chris Morton in the Vauxhall Corsa. Turning his way through Coram. Corsa that has been giant killing all weekend, really, hasn't it? It's been an awful lot quicker than it probably ought to be, certainly in the wet conditions in the race. There's the Rover Tomcat, which does not look particularly straight at the front. Yeah, there's an issue there, isn't it, for the Tomcat? It goes straight on down at the Brundle and Nelson complex, so some sort of a fairly major issue there for David Roberts in the Rover Tomcat. Meanwhile, Liam Crilly has now caught Andy Marston and has gone back up the inside of him, so Liam Crilly picks up a position there that he'd not that long lost, and the Mazda goes through. The Mini, though, tries to fight back on the exit of the corner. Meanwhile, there is the Chris Morton driven Corsa, who's got one of the BMWs battling away behind him. Now, it was either Robert Davidson or Farron Darver. There are two fairly similar silver BMWs. Not quite sure which one of those that was. We'll have a look in a minute for the next external shot as they head down towards the Wilson hairpin. Still the rain streaking up the windscreen for the Corsa. Turns its way into Wilson. Didn't really want to turn straight away there, did it? This front-wheel drive short wheelbase car. Wet conditions will create a little bit of understeer through the low-speed corners. Probably oversteer through the high-speed ones. So Chris Morton and James Birchin is in the car now, handling it very well. They appear in the back of shot, as at the forefront is Stephen Cunniff, who, in the car that was started by Anthony Rogers, went from 4th to 1st, has now dropped some way down the order, still inside the top 10, but only just. There is Andy Marston's Mini losing ground now to Liam Crilly. That, I think, now that everyone's stopped, works out as the fight for second, I reckon. Josh Johnson should be somewhere near here as well, though. He's in the mix for a podium finish as well in the Volkswagen Golf. So that's a safety car, as has often been the case this year in both the Cartek Roadsports Series and the Club Enduro races as well. That safety car coming out right slap bang in the middle of the race has really changed things around strategy-wise, and those that played the strategy right have made some big gains through Murray's, and well, Marston, it has to be said, is not really letting Liam Crilly go here. He's staying with him. Up across the start-finish line they go. Liam Crilly just about hanging on then to this position. Marston behind him. Then we check in further down the order towards the back end of the top 10 with the James Birch Vauxhall Corsa. Oops, and oh, that's Mike Murray's gone round, and involved with him there was the little Peugeot, wasn't it? So a couple of cars coming together down at the chicane, or the Brundle and Nelson S's, it would seem. And Mike Murray involved there, possibly with Jim McDougall, I think. Oh, we've got another car off there, one of the MR2s, as the race leader Marcus Clutton starts to scythe his way through. So it's all getting very busy out there now as we get towards the end of the race. I think it might have started raining a bit more heavily, maybe that's what it is. And Marcus Clutton really running deep there through Williams. Even the most experienced drivers out on the circuit finding we're going tough in this weather. Marcus, though, back down the Bentley Straight, well on his way, it would seem, to a victory. He's over a minute in front of anybody else now. He really did. He didn't lose too much time from the pit stops, and I think because Marcus is just so quick out there, as we know, capable of lapping more than 4 seconds quicker than anyone else in qualifying, he's just been able to pull clear of the rest of the field. And that's a car that is expected to be challenging for the victory in the Club Enduro race this weekend as well, which takes place tomorrow. And you can see why, because it really is exceptionally quick. The BMW's there was just getting out of the way, which I think had some sort of an issue. Possibly was Andy Bailey in his 95 BMW. The Porsche number 74 looking absolutely immaculate and a really welcome addition to both grids, to both the Cartek Roadsports and the Club Enduro grids. Makes its way across the start-finish line, onto another lap, into the final few minutes now, though, of this final round of the Cartek Roadsport Series. There is a car coming into the pit lane in the background there. I think that's a back marker with an issue of some kind, rather than one of the front runners. Class A Porsche, though, leading the way, and very handsomely indeed. There is the Mini of Andy Marston, which now does appear to have dropped back from Liam Crilly's Mazda. He's got the number 18 car going a lap down there though, which is one that we haven't seen much of yet in this race. One of the little Lotuses there going a lap down. So John Atherton in the S1 Elise, the Lotus Exige of Leon Bidgeway. Well, he is still out there then. Where he'd gone, he dropped down the order slightly. So Leon Bidgeway coming through Coram and really still struggling for grip there as he turns through that long right-hander. There's John Lemaster, Stephen Cunniff still behind him, presumably still with this lack of ABS, so whether or not he's going to be able to challenge the Lotus in the remaining laps waits to be seen. Then Bill Forbes, white BMW, and he's dicing away with one of the MR2s. I'm not even sure that's for position actually. I think it was Darren Aldworth in the blue and white car that he also races in the Toyota MR2 Championship. More battling going on further back. That's the 87 BMW of Josh Orr dicing with the blue MX5 of Dan Rogers, fighting up and down the field. Then Farad Darva's silver BMW. And then another gap back to the next little group of cars. There is the second of those silver BMWs, and then not far behind is the race leader Marcus Clutton. So he's going to have put a lap on about half the field at this stage. Still time potentially for him to lap a few more as well. He's put a lap on the Rover Tomcat, which I was sure would be pulling into retirement after it sort of straight lined this part of the circuit a few laps ago. It looked for all the world as if the steering had broken, but no, the Rover Tomcat still circulating in the hands of David Roberts. Oh, off though, unfortunately, not circulating is Christopher Heathcote's Renault Clio. He's gone into the barriers somewhere, appears to be out of the race. Clutton turns his way through Coram then, and with a sea of traffic in front of him, getting into the closing stages, as I said. May you see the checkered flag this time. We may just squeeze one more lap out of it, not too sure. Out of the final turn he comes. Trying to work his way past the back markers. Oh, Leon Bidgeway's off. Leon Bidgeway locking up and straight onto the hairpin and crunch into the barriers. And I think that was Mike Murray's car that was off at the side of the road as well. And that means that we get a late safety car. So the safety car is scrambled as a result of two cars off at the hairpin and this one off somewhere on the infield. There is Murray's car. It was Agostini, excuse me. It was Agostini where the cars went off. And in fact, the decision has been made to throw the red flag. Well, let's hand down to Paul to find out more.
Well, Andy, as you probably heard by now, we've got a red flag, 5 minutes to go, but there are too many cars off in dangerous positions. So just to save from 5 minutes from the end from having a disaster, the cars are coming back in now, so the winners will be as it stands.
Right then, which means that Michael Price and Marcus Clutton take the victory. Josh Johnson in second in the Golf, with Liam Crilly on the podium. 3 different classes represented in the top 3. Andy Marston is 4th ahead of Marshall Groves. Then it's the Redshaw and Taylor BMW in 6th position. John Lemaster was 7th. Stephen Cunniff and Anthony Rogers, the early race leaders, were 8th ahead of Bill Forbes and Darren Aldworth to round out the top 10. Well, an understandable decision made there to red flag the race as a result of all of those cars off in dangerous positions. If one car can go off there, then so could another several cars. So the decision taken to stop the race, we're only a few minutes from the end, so the result is declared with a series of notable non-finishes. Leon Bidgeway, Mike Murray, got the Meredith and Evans BMW as well that didn't make it to the end too. So quite a few quick cars that unfortunately didn't make the finish.
Right, Marcus, that was an interesting race, to say the least, but nice, clean first run, which is what you needed.
Clean first run, yes. Obviously, qualifying being in the dry was always going to throw a bit of a wide ball at us for the race, but at least it was proper wet. You know, we weren't agonising over tyre choice. So as first stint, my main goal initially was to just get away without spinning up the tyres, because in the green flag lap didn't take a lot of application of power. So I worked hard, warmed them up, and managed to get away with traction. So clean into first corner. Cheers, thank you. And from there, it was, I think we broke away as a 3, so which was a nice little pack there. The BMW behind me, but then that I think that got a little bit of a sideways moment, gave me some breathing space. But the conditions very interesting. Car moving around a lot, ABS interfering more than we would like, but you just have to drive to those. The car's wonderfully balanced. The guys built a good car, so you can drive it with confidence, drive it on the throttle a little bit. So powering it back up, nice drive, thanks.
Marcus, now when you climbed out of the car, you seemed pretty happy with how it was performing. It's becoming quite a good car for you.
Yeah, the car's excellent. Like Ian Gorham at CCI guy's done a brilliant job building this car for Mike, and Mike's had a fairly successful year in Porsche Club, which is what it was built for. And then we've come to do Enduro, and we've gone on to obviously like a road running tyre, and it just works. It's a great car. It's got a good balance, like Mike said. You know, you can drive it how you want to drive it. It doesn't surprise you. Maybe a little bit in the wet with the ABS. That was interesting. I had a couple of incidents where I thought I was running out of road, but you know, we survived, and our pace is strong in consideration to the others, and we won, so that's all we came to do.
Congratulations, guys. Good shakedown for tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Liam, that was a bit dicey out there, but second on the road and first in Class C goes down as a pretty good way to end an endurance race.
Yeah, I will take that. That's fantastic. I can't believe second on the road, but I did get very lucky with the pit stop window just fell to my favour.
Something else you got pretty lucky with was, I don't know if it was a strategy call or something that you did a little wrong, but you didn't go out on wet, and it got pretty wet.
It did, and I kind of thought it wouldn't get any wetter, and I kind of couldn't be bothered to change the tyres. So I thought, you know, the 595s, they're pretty good. They've got a decent amount of tread on them, I thought. And it looks like it was just about the right call, but if it had stayed any wetter, I think I'd have started slipping backwards.